greatest lie ever told. Cathar Love 169. Hello again. The greatest lie ever told. Well, that's somewhat subjective. Different people would have different ideas about that. But to me, by far, the greatest lie ever told is that death is the end. Sure, I won't argue death is the end of this life, this body, this lifetime with this body. That's it. It's only one of many. But death, really, we're simply divesting this body, our consciousness, the fact that I'm talking to you now, that does not miss a beat, not a second. You're in the world of spirit. It's simple as that. Now, I'm the first to admit, in my lifetime I've seen a lot of death and dying. Caused a few myself. Ex-soldier. But that's death. That's the manner in which we die. For some, it's simply asleep. Go to sleep here, wake up there. Others, unfortunately, are murders. Others have a miserable death for one reason or another. That's dying. But the death itself, when that moment comes to die, no matter which way you're dying, the soul simply leaves this body. The soul has no further use for this body, and then it's in the world of spirit. It's gone home. Home is when we die, and home is permanent. Life, our life here on Earth or on any other planet, is impermanent. But when we die, we're going to our permanent home. Look, there's something I fail to understand. There's plenty of things I fail to understand, believe me. But one is that I've mentioned to people, friends of mine, who've had a loved one that's departed, someone in the family, someone that they loved. And yet, I've said to them, look, I know these people who are spirit mediums. Why don't you go to them? These people that you're missing will talk to you through the medium, but they'll tell you things that only you and that person know. The medium doesn't know you or the departed person from a bar of soap. He's just simply relating what they're saying to him to you. It's very, very swift indeed that you know that it is that loved one or loved ones or friends that are coming there to give messages to you. It's a wonderful experience, and yet the thing is, very, very few of the people I know want to experience it. I don't question them, but is it fear? Is it spooky? Is it, I don't want anything to do with the dead or death? Hey, this is your friends, this is your loved ones. Wouldn't you like to communicate with them? I go certainly once a year, and if I can, twice a year. At the end of next month, I'll be going again. My family will be there. My mother and my father. I mentioned before, the dog, one of our dogs is there. I love it. It's great. But the thing about it is that everybody who pops in, and I suppose over the years I've had 30, 40, at least, people, possibly 50 people, friends of mine, friends I've forgotten about, people who are in Korea with me, people who are in Vietnam with me, friends. I just popped in. I just want to say hello. People I was involved with in business, and I thought, oh, yeah, we were friends, but I didn't think they were that friendly. But I just want to come in and say hello, and just to say that I really enjoyed my time with you. You know, there's just sometimes it's just, but it's just wonderful. You walk away and you feel elated. You're on a high. And then some people come in and they go, oh, this is so-and-so. And I go, literally, I'm embarrassed. I don't remember. But of course, when you walk outside and you relax, of course, that person goes back, oh, that was so-and-so. But at the time, and it's amazing. I have my guides. They come through. I won't go. There's some other people that I look at. There's others that I wouldn't mention because you'd say, no, that's too unbelievable. But anyway, the thing about it is that each and all of them are there, and if they have any concerns, it's about us here in this earthly plane. They're home. They're with their friends. They love it. The messages I get from them. They talk about the colour, the gardens, the forests, the mountains, the landscapes. I don't know, but over the years, now it appears to me that if you really love animals, domesticated or wild, it doesn't matter. But you're just a real animal lover. You'll have animals. You'll have all the animals that you want on the other side, because that is there. If you're into gardening and you love flowers and the scent and the colours and believe me, you'll have gardens. If you love walking in the countryside, or maybe you're a city person and you've never really had much to do with the countryside, but it's something that you've always wanted, that will be there for you. I don't know about heaven. Heaven, hell, all that type of stuff, not interested. But it's certainly paradise. That's a good word. It's paradise. These people are home in paradise. Here, we go, oh, this is mine. This is my house. That's my car. This is my girlfriend. This is my wife. Hey, you merely have a lend of them for a short time. Even when you're here, you can lose them and somebody else gets them. Here, if nothing else, the one word for it is impermanent. It's not permanent. You've only got it, anything, no matter what it is, it's only for a short while. In the world of spirit, home, that is permanent. This question came up, and I didn't know how to answer it myself. But the question was, if I go to see my mother, who's been dead for 20 or 30 years, and she's been reincarnated, how is it? For instance, if I go to a spirit medium, how is it that my mother can still communicate to me, and yet she's down here on earth and for another reincarnation? She's a child or a young person at the moment. Well, the explanation is this, that we are energy. Whether you're on earth, no matter where you are, whatever planet in the world of spirit, you are energy. And what happens, that because it is energy, it can be split up. So what happens is that a part of you, 10%, 8%, don't hold me to it, I don't know the exact amount, but that never leaves home. That is always home. So even though I am here at the moment, 10%, 5% of me is still in the world of spirit. So that is why I can communicate with people in the world of spirit when I go to a medium, and yet that particular person has been reincarnated 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, and already a 30-year-old person here. Explained. And when you understand that we are energy, whether in this world or in the world of spirit, it makes sense. The greatest lie is that death is the end. No. Death is the beginning. It's the beginning of your return to the world of spirit. There, you will be there for whatever period of time to sort out how this life went. There's no punishment. There's evaluations, and you're the one who does it. If there's anything that you feel that you needed to readjust, or you're unhappy about, or something that you felt that you did was wrong, then you're the one who understands what it is and what you need to do in a future lifetime for karmic purposes or whatever, or something that you need to learn so you can karma, we'll leave it at karma. That's a good word. But karma is not there. Again, in some religions, karma is there as punishment. You knock out someone's eye, they'll knock out your eye. This is karmic punishment. No. And certainly from a Cathar point of view, that karma is there so you'll understand. So if you have done something to a person, I've said it before, say broken some person's heart, and then along comes the situation where you have your heart broken. Karma. But the karma is not there to punish you. The karma is there so you will understand what it's like, the pain, the emotional pain that people go through when someone breaks their heart. So it's karma is there so you'll understand. So hopefully, and through understanding, not do it in the future. Not as a punishment. But this nice idea of punishment for the Judaic and the Christian and the Islamic religions, you must be punished, you must be punished, you must go to hell. This type of stuff. It's not. There's no punishment. There's sure that the people have done some horrendous things, and the karma that these people go through is going to be not good, and it could last for lifetimes. And that's fair. This is the way it is. But there's no day of judgment where they get up and you've done this wrong and you've done that right and you've done this wrong. We do a little like the Egyptians. They balance the scales, and depending on whether the scales are too good or the scales are bad, depends on where you go. And in fact, that's where from the Egyptians is where this idea of judgment, I think, which influenced the Judaic religions, the ancient Judaism, and then of course then Christianity was an offshoot from that, and then Islam is an offshoot of the two of them. And we've got our, thank you to the Egyptians, we've got our day of judgment. But it's a lie. This stuff, that death, departed, one life. That's all. At death, it's all finished. No. It's not that at all. I am reminded of the stories of Socrates, and he was instructed by the state to take poison, hemlock, because he was corrupting the minds of the youth of Athens. Yeah, he was teaching them to question, not just accept what people in authority say, but to question why is that correct or is it not correct for your own sake. And the authorities like you to do what they say. Jump, how far. But his guide, he called him his teacher, he said every step of his life, his teacher, his guide, spirit guide, gave him advice. For instance, he said, Socrates was a political animal, but he said, don't go into politics. You just stay and teach, which he did. And his friends, when they ordered him to drink hemlock and commit suicide, his friends, look, we can help you escape. We can help you escape and get away. And he said, no. He said, look, the other side, the world of spirit, is supposed to be a great place. And he said, if I shouldn't be going there, then he said my guide, his teacher, would have told him so. But he said, this is the first time in my life when my guide has not said anything to me, so therefore I'm happy to drink the hemlock, and which he did, and he had his friends around him, and Plato was there. And so Socrates died. But he died surrounded by friends as the poison slowly took over and killed him. Thankfully, in today society, in the West, there are people, and there seems to be more and more of them. When I was young, they were hard to find. There were few, but today there are more and more people who are more highly evolved, or whatever the reason, that can look beyond the curtain, look beyond the veil, and be in contact with the guides, with our friends, our family, people who've departed. And it's a wonderful time. Now I know people, friends of mine, who are fundamentalist Christians. I know other friends of mine who are Muslim, and they don't want to know about it. They feel, even talking about it, you can see they're feeling very uncomfortable. But you know, when you understand this, and death has no fears. I've never been one, it's never particularly concerned me, death and dying. Now, I went to a few wars, so if you're worried about that, I don't suggest you take up soldiering as a career. A career I've left behind, well and truly. So I never had that, I was never raised religiously to worry about hell and being in hell and burnt for eternity, as a lot of people are. And I've heard people personally, and I said, what's your problem there? And they've told me straight out, they said, I don't want to die and go to hell. That's what really scares me. That's what I'm really frightened of. And so many people are like that, and they're going through life like this. I really, if my heart goes out to anybody, it's my people carrying this. I think it's a terrible burden. At least I don't carry that stuff around with me. And one thing about, people might say this about Mao Zedong, but he did a couple of wonderful things as far as I'm concerned. He got rid of religion, and he stopped foot binding, and he made women and men equal. Men might be still a bit more equal, but he gave equality of the sexes. This was social revolution. This was a real social revolution, and so nobody can ever take that away from Mao Zedong. He was an amazing person, and so many people in China have not gone around with this religious burden that people in the Judaic and Christian and Muslim, they carry this every day, heaven and hell. Oh my God, can't do this, can't do that, can't eat this, can't eat that. At least he freed them for all that type of stuff. Good on you, Mao. Am I looking forward to dying? In all honesty, I am. I've got so many friends, family, that I miss. I miss their company. They're people that I love. And I'm really, as the expression goes, dying to see them. But I'm not dying. In fact, quite the opposite. I'll be around for many, many years yet. But when I go to a spirit medium and the people come up there and they just, and the messages that they give, some of them are just simple messages. One guy come up and he was Ronrico, and Ronrico, he was a hypnotist. I managed him, but I did hypnosis as well. And then he saw my ad in the paper, and actually I happened to be myself and another guy, Pat Kivington. We were running the paper, the Gold Coast Advisor in Surfers Paradise, and we started that off. Went from 8 pages to 40 in 5 months. It's a good job. Anyway, I think it's still going. But anyway, I left it to manage Ronrico because I was interested in hypnosis. And but anyway, so Ronrico came back and he said, I just popped in to say hello. But he said to me, he said, you know, of all the people I met, he said, you were the most honest. And it's just a simple phrase, but I cherish that. And I didn't expect, one, to hear from Rico, and two, for him to say that. So that was good. So I must admit, because I go to see a spirit medium at least once a year, I had that advantage that I'm in touch with these people. And it's also very practical. My mother said to me once, on one occasion, if you don't get a new computer, this one's going to crash. Hey, hang on. There's no computers around. When my mother died, another time she said, don't get into this vehicle, SKS 604, I know it was SKS, the number plate, 604, I'm not sure about the number. But anyway, I probably forgot about it, and 4 months later, this vehicle belonged to a friend of mine, and she had this very nasty crash, and nearly died through it. And I checked on the number plate, and there it was, SKS 604, 624. Another time my mother said to me, if you don't do something about your neck, you can have real problems later in life. So I really massaged and did this and did that, and now my neck's fine. But that was 20 years ago. So I've been seeing spirit mediums for a long time. I'd say I started probably 30 years ago, well around about 50 or something. So it's old hat to me. But the thing is, by doing that, I'm not carrying around this burden, these rocks about death and what's going to happen on the other side. Hey, you're going home. But people, they carry this lie. To me, it's the greatest lie ever told. They're carrying around this lie, and on a daily basis. Because deep down, they're scared of dying. They're scared of death. Now, a friend of mine who understands guides, a very open mind. She has spirit people who visit her, people who have died, but she worries about death. And I said, But why are you worried about, you know, if these people visit you. Oh, she said, I don't worry about going on the other side. She said, I'm worried about that side of it, the world of spirit. She said, I'm just a bit worried about how I'm going to die. Okay. No argument with that. That's legitimate. I would like to, I prefer to die peaceably. I don't want to be murdered or tortured or hurt or even have some terrible painful cancer that you have to carry around for a couple of months because people won't let you, because euthanasia is not a law in your country or your state. Thankfully, nearly every state in Australia now is having euthanasia. So if a couple of doctors agree that that you can't live and you only have so long to live, then you can take the appropriate medicine and then you can die with your friends and everything. So common sense at last is coming, and to most states in Australia, whether death being the end is the greatest lie ever told is debatable, because for other people there are other things that they might consider the greatest lie. But for me, I would say that death being the end is the greatest lie, is arguable, debatable, but to me, I would say it is. And why I don't like it is because it's just placing a burden, an unnecessary burden, an unnecessary rock that people carry around and really influences so much of their life. If you are free of that, look, but it all boils down. I believe it's better to live a life with the freest possible spirit that one can have. That when one wakes up in the morning, one wakes up with a lightness, a pleasure. It's a pleasure to enjoy the gift of life. We don't want death being made such a terrible thing. It's like death's been made into an incurable disease. If I had a wish for the whole world, my wish would be that each person had access to a genuine spirit medium that they can go to after a loved one, a friend, has died. What it would show and illustrate is that there's really no death, or death is not the end. It's simply a door that opens. You move into the world of spirit, your home, with your friends and your family. Knowing this is a wonderful thing. Not knowing it is a terrible thing. Now, because I talk about it, are you going to know about it? To some degree, some more than others. But it's not the same as going to a wonderful spirit medium who then is giving you those specific personal messages for you, which you know can only come from that person you know. All this baloney, this rubbish about hell and heaven and all this type of stuff, all this negative stuff, suddenly it's gone. And it's not, you don't have to believe, for the simple reason is now you know. Gnosticism. Gnosticism isn't about truth. Gnosticism is understanding what is reality. Because every country, every culture, every tradition has its set of truths and beliefs. But there's only one actuality, there's only one reality. And when you go, if you have the chance to go to a spirit medium, or other people have had a past life regression, it's virtually, in many ways, the same type of thing. Because when you have a past life regression, you know this is your life, or other lives as well. You know it's you. You don't have to think. You haven't got to debate with anybody. You haven't got to argue with anybody. You don't need to. You know. You know about reincarnation. This gives you, it makes your spirit soar. It's good for the soul. It's great for the mind, because you can live days of peace, and it brings tranquility. That would be my wish for the world, that people at least can have access to a spirit medium, so they don't have to carry this burden, this lie, that death is the end, whereas it's just a door and the beginning to another stage in our development.